Our guest today, Seth Duppstadt, is Senior Vice President for Proxy Insight. He's based up in New York City. Proxy Insight is doing some really interesting things with global shareholder voting data. I'm Brock Romanek, today on Zippy Point. So Seth, when it comes to Proxy Insight and the voting services you're providing, the information, is the information you provide easy enough to understand so that folks can understand how a particular shareholder might vote on a particular type of shareholder proposal?
Absolutely. That's one of our value adds is to really tee up how have shareholders voted on any issue globally in the past. And not just by resolution type, but by proponent too. If you're looking at a shareholder proposal, how people vote on an individual proponent's proposal versus a proposal put forward by an asset owner or asset manager can be, a different type of consideration. You can look at dissident directors and ones that Carl Icahn has put forward. How have shareholders voted specifically on Carl Icahn dissident directors? Or, we have other filters like proxy advisor recommendations. How have shareholders voted when ISS recommended against this proposal? So it's you can get as deep as you want to get into how have shareholders voted on X topic in the past.
And for how many years back does your data go?
We go back to the 2013 proxy season, so we define that as starting July 1, 2012.
So Seth, when it comes to shareholder approval of equity plans, what kind of data do you provide for that?
All management-sponsored proposals are treated the same as the shareholder proposals. Equity plans are broken down into various resolution types, omnibus stock plans, what have you, or you can search by the aggregation of just equity stock plans in general. And we can show you investor support at the particular investor level, or how supportive was ISS of equity plans, Glass Lewis of equity plans, an aggregate, how supported is this type of plan. We really give you the full picture of the environment that you're operating in, not just your specific situation you might be in.
And I know one thing I've always had trouble finding is the various voting policies for institutional investors. Do you have that kind of content?
Absolutely. That's one of the messiest data sets we try to clean up. You start with trying to find the voting policies, which can be quite a challenge. They are filed with the SEC summaries of them annually. However, it's much faster to go find them on the investors' websites. And now every investor's got them in a different place. So it's the first step is to find them, which is very time consuming. The next step is what we do is break the policy down into the resolution types that apply, so you can look across investors and find their proxy access policy or their tenure policy, whatever it might be. We make it very easy to look at that text as a snippet across all the investors in your shareholder base or a particular set of investors that you want to examine more closely. And then we monitor for changes to those policies because they can change every year. And so we watch for changes and alert via emails with summaries of what changed in an email, because a lot of times the old voting policy will just disappear from the investor's website and you'll have no way to know what is new in this new policy they just posted. So we do, it's very important to monitor what's changed. And in fact, from there, once you do that for, we do this for thousands of investors, you can do a temperature check on an investor base, and you can say, well, a couple of years ago, board diversity was the subject area that was getting changed in the policies a lot. And you can see in the text if there's right this year, it's previous to this season, it was environmental and social resolutions, climate type policies were getting changed a lot. And so we expect to see some impact in the voting in 2020 and 2021. It'll really shake out. So we're a dull moment around here.
So Seth, as a publisher, as an author of my own writings, I just have to say I love your Proxy Monthly newsletter. It's one of those must-reads for me every time I get it every month. Some of those articles you have are so unique, so useful. how do you all get the ideas to write those particular articles?
Well, I wish I could take credit for writing some of that. I just look smart, fortunately, working for the company. But we have a great team of journalists who comb through the raw data for stories. And, we cover 25,000 annual meetings a year, not just the vote outcomes or the voting records, but there's also the proxy advisor recommendations, the voting rationale. I know that caught your eye, one of our recent articles on why investors vote the way they do, shares held data and the policies. It all comes together in ways that almost write the stories themselves. The hard part, I think, for the journalists is staying neutral. We really try to not be climate change activists or think we know how to run a business. We're data providers, and we stick to that. But it's not easy all the time. Yeah, there's just a ton of data in there that it's fun. It's fun to read about, and I always look forward to next Proxy Monthly.
Yeah, I know when I come up, when I started blogging, I was worried, I was blogging 3 items a day. And I'm like, how am I going to come up with the ideas for all? And then I ended up having months and months of unused blogs by the time I left my last job, just because I just always had ideas, and there's always, you can almost fill a 24/7 cycle just with the corporate governance, securities law, corporate law space. Thank you very much, Seth. That was very insightful.
Thank you.
Proxy Insight, insightful.